They say money changes people. I never truly understood what that meant until I watched my own brother transform from someone I'd take a bullet for into a stranger wearing a designer suit and a fake smile. I'm Emma Mitchell, 34, and until 6 months ago, I was the proud sister of Marcus Mitchell, Silicon Valley's newest self-made success story. At least, that's what Forbes called him in their 30 Under 30 feature. The truth? Well, that's a bit more complicated. Growing up, Marcus and I were inseparable. Just 14 months apart, we were more like twins than regular siblings. While our parents worked double shifts at their restaurant to keep us fed and clothed, we looked after each other. I helped Marcus with his math homework. He scared away the boys who tried to bully me in middle school. When I got my first job at 16, I split every paycheck with him so he could buy the computer parts he dreamed about. One day, he'd say, hunched over his latest technological experiment, I'm going to create something amazing. Something that'll change the world. And when I do, we'll never have to worry about money again. I believed him. How could I not? Marcus had always been brilliant, even if he was terrible at showing it in school. While other kids played video games, he learned to code. While they went to parties, he built computers from scraps he found at the local electronics recycling center. I was his biggest cheerleader, his constant supporter, and sometimes his only friend. When our parents' restaurant failed during the recession of 2008, I put my college plans on hold. Instead of pursuing my dream of becoming an architect, I took a job as a bank teller to help keep our family afloat. Marcus was devastated when I told him, "You can't give up college," he argued, his eyes filling with tears. "You've worked so hard for this." But I just smiled and hugged him. "It's not giving up," I told him. "It's investing in our future. You're going to do great things, little brother. Someone needs to make sure you get there." And for 10 years, that's exactly what I did. I worked my way up from teller to branch manager, taking night classes when I could afford them. Every spare dollar went into supporting Marcus's dreams. When he needed seed money for his first startup attempt, I emptied my savings account. When that failed, I took out a personal loan to fund his second try. When that one crashed too, I refinanced my small condo to give him one more shot. "Third time's the charm," I joked, handing him the check for $50,000. He hugged me so tight, I could barely breathe. "I'll pay you back double," he promised. "Triple. You'll see, Eve. This time, it's going to work." And surprisingly, it did. Mitchell Tech Solutions launched in 2020, just as the world was going digital. Their security software caught the attention of several major tech companies, and suddenly Marcus was everywhere. Tech magazines, business podcasts, startup conferences. My little brother had become the success story he'd always dreamed of being. I couldn't have been prouder. Even when he moved to a luxury apartment in San Francisco and started wearing suits that cost more than my monthly mortgage payment, I was just happy to see him living his dream. The fact that he hadn't paid back any of my loans yet didn't bother me. He was busy, I told myself. Building an empire takes time. Then came the announcement. Marcus was getting married to Victoria Blackwood, daughter of telecommunications mogul Robert Blackwood, the woman he'd met at some exclusive tech conference 3 months ago. The wedding would be at the Blackwood estate in the Hamptons, with a guest list that read like a who's who of Silicon Valley. "It's going to be perfect," Marcus told me over the phone, his voice distant and distracted. "Victoria's planned everything. Oh, and she needs another $50,000 for the flowers and the ice sculpture. Can you help out? Just one last time?" I was at the bank within the hour, taking out another loan against my condo. This was my brother's big day, his chance to truly become part of the elite circle he'd worked so hard to join. Of course, I would help. The wedding invitation arrived 2 weeks later, a gorgeous thing of handmade paper and gold leaf. I was admiring it at my kitchen table when my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Need to talk. Video call in 5. When his face appeared on my screen, something was different. The warmth in his eyes, the one that had survived all our struggles, was gone. In its place was something cold, calculating. There's been a change of plans, he said, not quite meeting my eyes. About the wedding. Victoria thinks it would be better if you didn't come. The world seemed to tilt sideways. What? It's just, he cleared his throat. The guest list includes some very important people. CEOs, investors, potential partners. Victoria thinks, well, we think it might be awkward having a bank manager there. It could affect some delicate business relationships. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. Marcus, I'm your sister. I've supported you through everything. I've given you every penny I had. And I appreciate that. He cut in, his voice taking on the smooth, practiced tone I'd heard him use in interviews. But this is about the future of Mitchell Tech. We're in talks with major investors. The Blackwoods have connections we can't afford to jeopardize. You understand, right? I didn't understand. Not at all. But as I opened my mouth to argue, to remind him of everything we'd been through together, a notification popped up on my laptop. Someone had just tried to access my work email, specifically the folder where I kept documentation of all my loans to Marcus. That's when I knew. This wasn't just about the wedding. This was about erasing the past, creating a new narrative where Marcus Mitchell was truly self-made, with no messy family ties to complicate his perfect success story. You're right, I heard myself say, my voice steady despite the tears burning behind my eyes. I understand completely. After hanging up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, staring at the wedding invitation I could no longer use. Then I opened my laptop and started digging through years of financial records, emails, and text messages. If Marcus wanted to rewrite history, he should have remembered one thing. I'm the one who taught him to always keep receipts. What I found in the next few hours would change everything. But that night, I just sat there, watching the sun set through my kitchen window, mourning the loss of the brother I thought I knew. Little did I know, this was just the beginning. The real story, the one that would eventually attract the FBI's attention, was about to unfold in ways none of us could have predicted. The thing about working in banking for 15 years is that you develop an eye for patterns. Numbers tell stories if you know how to read them, and the story I uncovered in the week following Marcus's wedding invitation was one that made my blood run cold. It started with a simple review of the loans I'd given him. $50,000 for his first startup attempt in 2018. Another $50,000 for the second try in 2019. The $50,000 that supposedly launched Mitchell Tech in 2020. And now, the final $50,000 for his wedding to Victoria. $200,000 total, all meticulously documented in my personal records. But something wasn't adding up. I remembered Marcus's first failed startup attempt, a mobile payment app that never made it past the development stage. The second was a cryptocurrency trading platform that collapsed within months. Both failures were painful, but they seemed honest. Technical issues, market timing, the usual startup problems. The third attempt, Mitchell Tech Solutions, was different. It succeeded almost overnight. securing major contracts with tech giants within months of launch. The industry called it a miracle. Now I was starting to wonder if it was something else entirely. Just checking some historical records, I told my assistant at the bank when I requested access to all transaction records related to Marcus's business accounts. As his primary bank, we had handled most of Mitchell Tech's early financial operations before they moved to bigger institutions. What I found sent chills down my spine. The $50,000 I had given Marcus for Mitchell Tech had never been deposited into the company's account. Instead, it had been transferred through a series of smaller transactions to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. But Mitchell Tech had still launched with significant capital, $2 million to be exact. Where had that money come from? I spent 3 sleepless nights tracing the money trail. Bank statements, wire transfers, corporate filings. I followed every breadcrumb. Each discovery felt like another punch to the gut. The prestigious security software that had put Mitchell Tech on the map? It wasn't Marcus's creation at all. The original code had been developed by a small tech startup in Eastern Europe, a company that had mysteriously gone bankrupt just weeks before Mitchell Tech launched. Their entire development team had vanished, their office abandoned overnight. And the $2 million that launched Mitchell Tech, it had been routed through the same Cayman Islands account where my $50,000 had disappeared. The money originated from a series of compromised corporate accounts. Companies that had reported major security breaches in early 2020. My brother, my brilliant little brother who I'd supported all these years, hadn't created a revolutionary security software. He'd stolen one, using hacked funds to finance the operation. The evidence was there in the patterns of transactions, in the timestamps of code commits, in the suspicious coincidences that no one had bothered to investigate because everyone was too busy celebrating the next tech wonderkind. "Oh God, Marcus," I whispered to my empty apartment, staring at the wall of financial data I'd assembled. "What have you done?" But the real bombshell came when I dug deeper into Mitchell Tech's current operations. The security software they sold to major corporations had a hidden feature, a backdoor that allowed unauthorized access to client systems. Mitchell Tech wasn't just a fraud. It was potentially the largest corporate espionage operation I'd ever seen. My phone buzzed, another text from Marcus. "Hey, Em. About the wedding. Victoria's family is willing to compensate you for any inconvenience. Name your price." I looked at my laptop screen, at the evidence of years of fraud and theft. They thought they could buy my silence with money, the same way they thought they could erase my existence from Marcus's carefully crafted story. My hands shook as I typed out my reply. "No price needed. I understand completely." Then I turned back to my laptop and began organizing the evidence. Every transaction, every stolen line of code, every compromised client account. I documented it all. Years of banking experience helped me create an airtight paper trail, one that even the best lawyer's money could buy wouldn't be able to dispute. I also started receiving strange emails, thinly veiled threats from anonymous accounts, warning me to mind my own business and forget about the past. Someone had definitely noticed my digging. Time was running out. The wedding was in 3 days. The guest list included CEOs of companies that had been compromised by Mitchell Tech's backdoor, investors whose money had been used to launder the stolen funds, and tech journalists eager to celebrate another self-made success story. Perfect. I booked a flight to New York and packed my laptop. In my carry-on, I placed a USB drive containing every piece of evidence I'd gathered. A second copy was safely stored in an encrypted cloud account, set to automatically send to the FBI and SEC if anything happened to me. As I locked up my condo, Another text from Marcus arrived. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Just name your price. Everyone wins. I thought about the brother who used to share his dreams with me, who promised we'd change the world together. I thought about the man he'd become, willing to steal, lie, and threaten to maintain his facade of success. You're right, I texted back. Everyone will get exactly what they deserve. The next morning, I boarded a flight to New York. In 48 hours, I would crash my brother's $1 million wedding. But first, I had some visits to make. To the FBI field office in Manhattan, to the SEC's Enforcement Division, and to a few very interested journalists. Marcus had always said he wanted to make headlines. Well, I was about to help him do exactly that. As the plane took off, I closed my eyes and remembered something our parents used to say back in the restaurant. The truth, like cream, always rises to the top. It was time to let the truth rise. The Hampton estate where the wedding would take place was visible from the air as we descended into New York. A sprawling mansion by the ocean, its grounds transformed into a fairy tale venue for what the society pages were calling the tech wedding of the year. Little did they know, it was about to become famous for very different reasons. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. From my hotel room in Southampton, I could see the steady stream of luxury cars heading toward the Blackwood estate. Caterers, florists, and event staff had been bustling since dawn, preparing for what People magazine had dubbed the tech industry's royal wedding. I took my time getting ready. The slate gray dress I'd chosen was expensive but understated, professional rather than celebratory. My laptop bag, containing everything needed to destroy my brother's carefully constructed world, felt heavy on my shoulder. "Mom, this is a private event," the security guard at the estate entrance said when I pulled up in my rental car. "I'll need to see your invitation." I smiled and handed him my business card instead. "I'm Emma Mitchell, sister of the groom. There's been a slight misunderstanding about my invitation. Why don't you call Marcus and let him know I'm here?" The guard looked uncertain, but I saw the moment he registered my last name. He stepped away to make a call, and I waited, watching more guests arrive in their designer outfits and luxury vehicles. 5 minutes later, Marcus appeared, looking immaculate in his custom tuxedo. But I could see the tension in his jaw, the barely controlled panic in his eyes. What are you doing here?" he hissed, pulling me aside. "We discussed this. You can't be here." "Actually," I said, keeping my voice level, "we need to talk. Now, before the ceremony." "There's nothing to talk about. I've offered to compensate you." "For what, Marcus? For the $200,000 in loans? For erasing me from your life? Or for using my banking credentials to help you launder stolen money?" The color drained from his face. Behind him, I could see Victoria approaching in a silk robe, her professional makeup only half complete. "Marcus, darling, is everything all right?" she called out. Then she saw me, and her perfectly shaped eyebrows drew together in annoyance. "What is she doing here?" "She was just leaving," Marcus said quickly, gripping my arm. "Weren't you, Em?" I pulled free of his grasp. "No, actually, I think I'll stay. I've brought a wedding gift that everyone needs to see." Victoria's face hardened. "Security," she called out. "I wouldn't do that," I said calmly, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "Unless you want the FBI agents parked down the street to come in early. They're very interested in Mitchell Tech's operations, especially that back door in your security software, the one you've been using to steal corporate secrets from your clients." A small crowd had gathered now, drawn by the drama unfolding at the entrance. I could see Robert Blackwood, Victoria's father, pushing through the onlookers. "What's going on here?" he demanded. "Nothing," Marcus said quickly. "Just a family misunderstanding. And please, let's talk about this privately." I shook my head. No more private talks. No more secrets. I turned to address the growing crowd of guests. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for interrupting the festivities. But there's something you need to know about the man you're here to celebrate." "Stop this," Marcus pleaded, reaching for me again, but I was already pulling out my laptop. "Your invitation said no gifts were necessary, but I brought one anyway. A presentation about how Mitchell Tech really started, about where that revolutionary security software really came from, about what it's been doing to your company's systems all this time." Robert Blackwood stepped forward, his face darkening. "What is she talking about, Marcus?" "She's lying," Victoria cut in. "She's just jealous of Marcus's success. Security. Remove her?" "Before you do," I said loudly, "you might want to check your phone, Mr. Blackwood. I believe you just received some very interesting emails about your future son-in-law's business practices." The crowd murmured as phones started buzzing. I timed my evidence dumps perfectly. Emails going out to all major Mitchell Tech clients and investors just as I arrived at the wedding. Marcus lunged for my laptop, but it was too late. I'd already connected it to the venue's massive display screens, the ones meant to show romantic photos during the reception. Instead, they now displayed transaction records, code snippets, and irrefutable evidence of years of fraud. "That $2 million startup capital," I announced to the stunned crowd. "Stolen from hacked corporate accounts, the security software you're all using. Stolen from a small company in Eastern Europe after Marcus arranged for their mysterious bankruptcy. And that backdoor you never knew about. It's been collecting your corporate secrets for 2 years." The chaos that erupted was almost beautiful in its completeness. CEOs frantically calling their IT departments, investors shouting into phones, journalists who had come to cover a society wedding suddenly finding themselves with a much bigger story. "You ruined everything," Marcus snarled, his carefully crafted mask finally cracking completely. "I gave you a chance to name your price." "Some things aren't for sale," I replied. "Like the truth or family loyalty." Victoria had disappeared, along with her father. In the distance, I could hear sirens approaching. Federal agents. The FBI's arrival was almost anticlimactic after everything else. They moved through the crowd with practiced efficiency, heading straight for Marcus. As they led him away in handcuffs, past shocked guests, and frantically clicking cameras, he looked back at me one last time. For a moment, I saw a flicker of that little boy who used to share his dreams with me. "Why, Em?" he asked, his voice breaking. "I would have given you anything." "Because you forgot something important, little brother," I said softly. "Success built on lies isn't success at all. It's just a bigger lie." The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect. Mitchell Tech's collapse made headlines for weeks. Tech wonderkind revealed as corporate spy, ran alongside wedding day arrest exposes Silicon Valley fraud. The FBI's investigation uncovered even more than I had. A network of cybercrimes spanning 3 continents. Victoria and the Blackwoods quickly distanced themselves, their PR team working overtime to paint themselves as victims. Most of Mitchell Tech's clients filed lawsuits. The stolen money was traced and returned, including my $200,000 in loans. I testified at Marcus's trial 3 months later. He didn't look at me once during my testimony about how he'd used my banking access to facilitate his crimes. He took a plea deal in the end. 15 years with possibility of parole, plus restitution to all his victims. The day after the sentencing, I received a letter from him in prison. "Dear M," it began. "I forgot who I was trying to become someone else. I forgot that real success was having a sister who believed in me enough to sacrifice everything. I forgot that the dreams we shared were worth more than all the fake success in the world. I know it's too late to fix what I broke, but I hope someday you can forgive me. Your brother, Marcus." I read the letter several times, tears blurring the words. Then I put it away in a drawer and went back to work. Not at the bank. I'd taken a new job, heading up fraud prevention for a major tech company. Turns out my experience with Mitchell Tech made me quite valuable in that field. Sometimes, late at night, I look at old photos of Marcus and me from before all this happened. I remember the brother who dreamed of changing the world, who just wanted to make something amazing. I wonder where that boy went wrong, and if he's still in there somewhere behind prison walls. But I don't regret what I did, because sometimes loving someone means holding them accountable. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let the truth come out, no matter how much it hurts. They say money changes people, but I've learned it's not the money. It's what people are willing to do for it. The choices they make, the lines they cross, the people they're willing to sacrifice. In the end, Marcus got what he'd always wanted. His name in headlines, his story talked about in Silicon Valley, just not in the way he planned. As for me, I've got a new dream now. Helping other companies protect themselves from people like my brother. Making sure other families don't have to go through what I did. Because some things really aren't for sale. Truth, integrity, family. And sometimes, the hardest lessons are the ones we learn from those we love the most.